welcome to Widow Too Soon. This is your host with the most, Mark Massaro. I am here with my friend and co-host, Michelle Bader Ebersole. Michelle, what is the good word?
Oh,
What's going down?
I can't believe we're almost done with 2023.
I
That's
know.
crazy. Like
I know.
we are when we're recording, it's currently December 30th, 2023. When you guys hear us, you're in 2024. Crazy.
Whoa. You're from the
Yeah,
future.
you're listening, yeah, in the future. So, anyways, it's been a crazy time like with Christmas and all kinds of stuff going on. Let's see, let's start with the good stuff. We had our first Christmas together, or well, first married Christmas, which actually was our first Christmas together because we've been like not together on Christmas ever because he was with his family, I'm with mine. So that was really good. He's like, I've never watched so many Christmas movies in my life because it's like we watch so many. The kids are like, we have to do this one, we have to do this one, we have to do this one. And it was fun because we've seen them a million times, but he hadn't seen a lot of them. So that was kind of fun, him laughing at movies. And then he was like, I've never watched so many Hallmark movies. Because I would in the bedroom, I'd have him constantly playing, and he would get into them sometimes. Most of the time, he'd be like, I'm going to sleep. I know what happens.
Yeah, Tina said that the other day. She was like, they're all pretty much the same theme.
They are. And Luke used to always say that too. He'd be like, same, different cover, same story. I can tell you what's going to happen. And a lot of times it's a widow or a widower, and it's their first time with love again. And, all this stuff.
Very
But I'm
fitting.
so weird. Like, I do not like them after Christmas. I'm like, nope. Because Joel's like, do you want to watch some more of those? I'm like, no, I'm done. Like,
Christmas
I
is
can't watch a
over.
Christmas movie after Christmas. Anyways, we watched a lot of movies. We went ice skating as a family. That was
Nice.
fun. Yeah. Well, I mean, kids, you have these beautiful pictures in your head of how wonderful it's gonna be. No, it wasn't like that. Like, Haley has like weak ankles. Like she twists her ankles all the time, so it was hurting her
Mm,
ankles. Hayden didn't really like it, and Peyton was good at it, but he said it was boring. So they lasted like 30 minutes.
mm.
I'm like, this was an expensive 30 minutes for you guys. But whatever. We still had fun. We looked at lights. Like I had this whole schedule of like what we're doing every day so that we got all this stuff packed in. So it was really, really fun just having this first season together. It was different. Christmas morning was different because Joel was there. But I think it was good. I do see this is the second Christmas that I see my oldest. Like I see his grief come out on Christmas morning in a weird way. Like he
Mm.
gets angry and starts picking up all the paper. I hate all this paper. So his dad used to do that. Luke would get like super frustrated. He didn't like messes and things all crazy. And I like to leave it. Like I grew up, you just leave the paper for hours. It's kind of part of the whole thing. And he'd be like, no, clean this up. And so Hayden did this last year and he did it this year. He's like not joking. He's kind of angry. Just get this cleaned up, blah, 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 blah. And so I talked to him about it later, and he's like, I don't know why I got so angry. I just kind of wish things were the way they were before. I'm like, that's grief. You're going through grief,
Mm.
And so we were able to talk about it and identify that you're definitely having grief. So there's just only one little negative. It wasn't bad at all. So tons of good stuff. I mean, we take forever to talk through every Christmas thing we did, but it was really fun. Um, Good news, it's been almost 2 weeks since I've had a headache. I was having those like
That is good
constant
news.
headaches. So that's exciting. Bad news, it was the day we went ice skating. All of a sudden I hear a ringing in one ear. And I was like, what is this? And it didn't go away. So I'm looking it up. It's called tinnitus, or some people pronounce it tinnitus, but I like tinnitus better. Anyways, so I'm hearing ringing all through Christmas, all through just in one ear. But then I'm looking it up and like, that's a bad sign. When it's in one ear, it can be an underlying cause, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting freaked out. I've had all these health issues for 2 months now. It was like Halloween when I had the first headache. So, long story short, I was able to get into like a last minute primary care doctor. And at that point, he just told me, he's like, yeah, it just happens sometimes, which is true. I can't remember how many people it affects, but so many people get tinnitus. It's the ringing in ear, and you just have to live with it. And I was like, okay. But then he's like, you should get your hearing tested. And I'm like, yeah, but it takes months to get in. And I called the next day and they're like, yeah, it was like February 15th that they could get me in. And they're like, or we have an opening today at 3. And I'm like, yes, I will take that one. And it was at the place where Luke used to get all of his chemo. Actually, I remember the last time I was there with him was 3 weeks before he died. He got a PIC line, no, a port put in, so that he would, or was it a PIC line? Whichever one, they were planning it for his medicine that he wouldn't be able to like take, like swallow medicine anymore. So they were getting it
Pick
ready.
line.
PIC line, I think. Yeah, because he had a port a long time ago for chemo, and then this was a PIC line. Anyways, so I was very like, I had gone there the day before with Joel, and I was like, I'm fine. And then when I went by myself the next day, I was crying a lot. It was just so much just being around there. But actually, God reminded me of some really cool things. I remember writing in my journal, which I later wrote in my book. While Luke was getting a scan, I was sitting outside and there were like birds flying above. And I was reminded of the verse about look at the birds of the air, see how I care for them, how much more do I care for you? And I
I
was
remember
remembering
that
that.
story.
Yeah, and I was remembering that the day that I went with Joel and telling him about the story, and then there were birds flying over right then. And then I'm coming back the next day. I was actually on the phone with my best friend Deborah and telling her I'm going to this appointment. And then I'm like, and there's the birds again. They were there again. And then this is crazy. When I got home, I opened my Bible app. It usually goes to the home screen. I have no idea how. It was on the verse. Look at the birds of the air. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I think God's
Wow.
trying to tell me something, not to worry. And there's part of the verse that says, like, who by worrying can add a single day to your life? Like,
Yep.
I've been worried about all these things. And anyways, when I go to the appointment, I've never had a hearing test. I do recommend it for everybody, just so you like know where you're at. And I think I'm doing really good. And then she's like, well, you have sudden hearing loss in your left ear. That's why you're hearing tinnitus. I'm like, what? And then it was like the feeling of when, it's totally different, but the feeling of being diagnosed with something and I was alone and I was like, what? But then there's good news. So it's only like 10, she said 10 to 15. She showed me the chart. She's like, your hearing's still excellent. Like it's above normal, but it's 10 to 15 decibels less than your right ear. And if your ears are off, it's not like I was thinking it was like eyes. It's totally different. If your ears are off, then there's something like you probably had sudden hearing loss. I mean, I've never had a test before, but it looks like, I mean, it all coincides with the ringing in your ears. That causes, when you have a sudden hearing loss, it causes ringing in your ears because your ears are
Mm.
trying to like compensate for the sound. Somehow it causes this ringing. And she's like, but the good news is it's a lot of times it's temporary and we caught it within the window. So this is where I'm like thanking God for opening this door. So I was supposed to get in February 15th. If I had gotten in then, I would have missed the window. So within the first 4 weeks of the hearing loss, they can give you, what's it called? Prednisone, something
Prednisone.
like that. That's it. They can give you that, which I wasn't excited about, but I need any hope. They can give it to you, and most of the times it will help your hearing go back. I just read a study that said 85% of the time your hearing comes back. And so that was the good news that I was like, okay, because the day before the doctor's like, nope, you just have tinnitus, like nothing you can do about it. But now I know why it's caused. I mean, we don't know why the sudden hearing loss was caused. Like she said, we don't know. Only 1% of the time is it something like a benign tumor. But I already had a CT scan, so I know I don't have a tumor. So hallelujah. But anyways, so I started the medicine yesterday. I don't hear any difference um, yet, but it's only day 2. I have a lot of hope that it's going to go away. And in the meantime, I'm just praying and like, okay, God, like help me live with this. And I'm like listening to different sounds and just trying to focus on other things. But it's definitely been a trying time, like very much with all these health issues. Like I've never been the one going through them. So it's been difficult. I already had an MRI scheduled for January. So they would have scheduled one anyways with this just to see what's going on, but it's only 1% of the time that it's like anything bad. So hopefully, it's probably, I don't know if it's connected to everything else I've been going through, but it's definitely been a difficult time. I like cried for 2 days straight, like just, Joel's being so nice and I'm like, this isn't who you married. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. But he really helps me like, you're not alone. I'm here, just like, we're going to get through this and just very, very comforting. But,
That's awesome.
so that's something we can definitely be praying for, that my hearing is completely
Yes.
restored. And I'm thankful that it's such a little loss because as I'm reading about this, a lot of people have like 30 decibels or more loss. And so I'm thankful that it's just a tiny bit. I'm hopeful for recovery. And anyways, so that's been the hard part of what's been going on. But it's just more time to talk to God and pray and like, okay, I trust you. I don't understand this. Like, I've never had health issues, so trusting God with my own health issues is difficult. And I think it's hard when you've been through like a loss where God doesn't heal someone.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
you've
I'm
seen the dark
really,
side of it.
yeah. Um I'm honestly, I'm struggling. I think it's good to be real with our audience. Like, I struggle sometimes with like, how does God decide who to heal? Like, God, you're good. You're good, but why don't you? I mean, I think it's just getting back to that eternal perspective. He does
Mm.
heal them. But like, you know, just like how God works out everything for good. But just right now, especially today, thinking about Luke and his birthday, and like, how is this good for my kids that their dad's not here, And like, God, like you're like a dad who loves his kids, and you can heal. Why don't you? And I'm just
Well,
sometimes there.
interestingly, his definition of good might be different than
True.
ours,
That's
you know?
true.
And as we know that his ways are above our ways and his thoughts are above our
Yeah.
thoughts. And he sees things that we don't see and understands things that we don't understand. And so, that's just how I choose to look at it, because we're not
Yeah.
called to understand. We're called to have faith. Um, and so it's
Yeah.
normal to question and to be afraid and all these different things. None of us are perfect, of course, and I think it's very normal for us to question these things, because we
Right.
have our understanding and our perspective. So, um, it's just something that we're inclined. It's the only thing we can see, is because it's the only thing we know and
Right.
understand is an earthly perspective. We try to have a heavenly perspective, but the reality is, it's hard for us to do that when we can only see what we see. So,
Right.
don't beat yourself up about having those thoughts or anything. Is very normal.
Yeah, and just one other thing I wanted to say about the ringing in the ears, because I was like, maybe the point of this is I'll be able to help somebody else. I wanted to tell everybody, if you get sudden ring in your ears, go get a hearing test immediately, because if it's caused by hearing loss, you have a window that you can get the medicine to help you. So I'm like, I just want to get that. Like, I never knew that, and I'm so thankful I was in the window. And I was like, well, I couldn't have got in for a few months. She's like, well, if it's sudden hearing loss, we get you in right away. I'm like, but I didn't know I had it.
Right,
So I
right.
just want to tell people, if you get a sudden ringing, especially if it's one ear, that's usually a cause like that. It's a sudden hearing thing. So, anyways, I mean, it's not like debilitating, and I find the less I focus on it, the better. Um, so even if it does stay, I can live with it, but I'm praying it goes away. So, anyways, enough about me and all
We
my
are all
stuff.
praying that with you.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's just like when you get a rattle in your car, you just got to fix it by turning up the radio louder.
Yes.
So you just
Kind of
got to
like
turn up the
that.
radio louder, Michelle.
Yes. Anyways, tell me about your Christmas and
Okay,
things for you.
so, well, first of all, okay, so it's so weird that it's 2023, because I know a lot of people in the audience understand this, because I've seen memes and gifs about it before, and I think I might even have mentioned it on here before, but like, it still feels like 1990 was 10 years ago.
Yeah, right?
Like it still feels like it's the year 2000 sometimes. So it's weird to think that that was 23 years ago, almost 24.
Crazy.
24 for those of you listening. So, and then you mentioned ice skating, and I don't know about you, but I cannot think about ice skating without thinking about, oh gosh, what's her name? Was it Nancy
Tanya
Kerrigan?
Harding and Tanya
Tanya
Harding, which
Harding.
was in Portland. The ice skating rink I was at is where she's from, Tanya Harding.
Oh, no
Yep.
way. I
Yeah.
actually saw a documentary about that. It was very, very
Me
interesting.
too.
So it was not what I thought, that's for sure. But anyways, so I just thought of that. The super random. So let's see. We did a lot of cool stuff. So we went to Sevierville, which is the hometown of Dolly Parton, if I'm remembering that right.
Nice.
I'm pretty positive. And we went to this place called the Soki Mountains. It's like a water park,
Nice.
but during this time of year, they take the parking lot, since obviously nobody's going there for the swimming stuff, and they turn it into like a drive-through Christmas music,
Oh,
lights and
fun.
tunnels and all kinds of really cool stuff. So we did that, and then we did our Christmas morning together early, because Tina was here visiting. So
Nice.
we did our little Christmas together, and that was super cool, super sweet, and we enjoyed that a lot. And then we also went to this place called Anarchista,
Hmm.
which is I think it was in Pigeon Forge. I don't remember for sure where it was, but I'm not from around here. So, but we went to this place called Anarchista. It was super cool. You take a chairlift, which wasn't Tina's favorite part. We took a
Oh,
chairlift up to the top of this mountain, and there's like this little like village up there. And
cool.
there's like restaurants and shops and roller coasters and a bunch of tree houses and all. There's like a treetop like rope bridge like course,
Nice. That
and
sounds
you walk through
fun.
all these rope bridges. We did it at night, so it was all lit up. It was really
Hmm.
really cool. We just had a great time. We took the bus back down, so Tina didn't have to take the chairlift.
Oh, funny.
She was not
She
a
doesn't
fan, and
like
I
heights.
no, and and I guess certain situations, because we went to the top of this tree house that was like probably 80, 90 feet in the air and had a part of it, there was a glass floor. I mean,
Oh,
I'm sure it was
cool.
like 1 inch thick plexiglass or something.
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't actually glass, but she got it right out there on that with me and stood on it. So
What
there's
about
certain things that
little
are heights.
planes? Like you
She
guys
hates
come to
all
visit and we
planes.
all go up in little plane. Like, no, she doesn't
Mm-mm.
want to do that.
No, no, she does not want to do that. I already told her if, we get to travel someday together that don't worry, we can drive everywhere. So
That's
she's not a
nice
fan
of
of
you.
flying. And the idea of me being, I've mentioned that
Yeah,
to
being a
Joel that I
pilot.
thought being a pilot would be really cool. She's not a fan of that. I was like, what if I was flying? Would you still be scared? She's like, yeah, no, I'm not going up in the plane. like,
Oh, that's so
yes.
fun.
Well, it's a personality thing because
Yeah.
I used to be really afraid of flying, and
Mm.
then I just went in the plane one time and I was like, this is actually really cool, and I've liked it
Hmm.
ever since. So for me, it's no big deal. And also, I'm a snowboarder, so for me, the chairlifts are no big deal. I mean,
Oh,
that's
I
you
love
can't
it. Yeah.
snowboard without the chairlifts. I've been on really, really big chairlifts. Like we went to Mammoth Mountain and
Mm. Yep.
Big Sky, Montana, and some of those chairlifts are really, really high off the ground at some points, and it's just beautiful to me. But I could see how it'd be scary.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, the point of that is we took the bus back down so that
Fun.
Tina didn't need to be scared, and I totally understood. So anyways, we did that. That was super super cool. Went to a restaurant while we were up there and had hot chocolate and all kinds of cool stuff. So and then what else did we do? We did some other stuff. Can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Well, the kids and I had our Christmas, and I made a post about it, and it was actually pretty cool because this was our best Christmas in a long time.
Good.
There was a lot of loneliness, but the cool thing is, I was like having this like deep thought that like, wow, like there's different kinds of loneliness. Sorry.
It's okay.
What? Baby, I told you I'm podcasting.
So cute.
But there's these two different kinds of loneliness where
Right.
there was a loneliness that I used to have, which was not having somebody and, missing Lacey and all the things and just being absolutely by myself. Now my loneliness is very different. It's just missing someone. And that is a very,
Yeah.
very different feeling.
It
And
is
I
different.
was so grateful for it being that kind of loneliness. And that was super cool. And we actually just got back from West Virginia.
Oh,
Went and
nice.
visited Tina, and that was super cool. We stayed at this. It was close to her house, but I rented this little like cabin at a
Oh,
KOA,
fun.
KOA, Camping
Yeah.
America or something like
Uh-huh.
that. And it was a cute little cabin. It was cool. So we had a really good time. And then that's about it. Tina's coming for another visit. It's just been awesome
Yay.
getting to like see each other so much more. So that's been a huge blessing. But I'm sure I'm forgetting like 20 things. I've just been
Right.
working, and I actually had last week off of work
Oh, nice.
because I had nobody to watch the kids. but they're really, really cool about it. I just want to give Matlock Tires a shout out. They're like a
Shout
real
out.
cool family place, and
Oh,
the
so
owner
good.
like pulled me aside and just told me that like what I have going on and taking care of my kids is more important than my work, and that anything I
So
need,
good.
that they will like take care of me. And I don't know, it's just cool because like I've only been there, almost, I think almost 2 months now, and they're just already trying to like bend over backwards to like help me with anything I need, which is super cool. Like, if the kids are sick or whatever, like, gosh, what a blessing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been fixing some cars and, doing that whole thing. But other than that, we're all caught up. So,
Yeah. Well, I had can I say two more things I forgot?
yeah, yeah.
So I think I talked about we were going to do this, and we did. We always do Cinnabons Christmas morning. We waited till the last minute. They didn't have the packs. It cost $42 for 7 cinnamon rolls because I gave some to my parents. Anyways, that's not the important part. But don't wait till the last minute to get them. But we on Christmas morning, like I usually would say, like say memory of your dad. But this time I just said, because Joel was there too. I'm like, everybody share their favorite Christmas memory. And it ended up we all shared ones about Luke, and then Joel shared one of his. So it was kind of cool, like doing that. And then I don't know if I mentioned it or we were just talking before. I don't think I mentioned it. Today is Luke. Luke's birthday. He would have been 46 today. And like I'm not really
Dang, he was
sad.
a lot older than you.
I know, right? Because I'm 29 forever, so way older. But I had a little bit of grief, not a lot. Just I always look through pictures and post pictures, and I had some tears in my eyes, and I was looking at them, and I made a post, and then Joel read it and was like, "That's really nice." And the kids are actually at their grandparents' a couple hours away, but they're on their way home right now. And when they get home, we're gonna go to Red Robin, which is Luke's
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
restaurant and Haley's favorite, and then he loved cherry chip cake. Like it started when he was a kid. It's just like this box mix, and Haley's like, "I want to make it." I'm like, "Do you want me to do it?" She said, "No, I want to make it." So when they get home, she's gonna make the cherry chip cake, and and it's another one of those places where Joel has given us space. His son is visiting, so they're going to be out. Actually, they're flying right now because his son is a pilot too.
Oh,
So
nice.
he's like, we got to go do some takeoffs and landings. So they're doing that right now. And I was like, you don't worry about rushing home for dinner because we're doing this thing like to celebrate Luke's birthday, and he like totally gives us the space. He's not like, why aren't you inviting me? Like he totally gets
Yeah,
it.
that's awesome. He's a really cool dude.
I know. I'm so
I know,
blessed.
right?
I know,
Yeah,
right?
he's
Like,
awesome. Like, you
just
scored. He's a
yeah.
cool guy.
Oh, I know. Um, Oh, and he said to tell you hi when he was leaving. He's like, tell Mark hi. So I'm telling you hi on air.
Joel. Hi, Joel.
Yeah, and he's listening. Hopefully he's listening because he doesn't always listen to every podcast, but hopefully he is. Anyways, we have done a 23-minute recap. So
So
let's get
continuing
into
on
it.
with that theme, today's episode is actually a recap of the year 2023. This is our season 2 finale. We're just kind of rolling with the seasons. We don't really know what we're doing. Yep. We don't really know what we're doing. Yeah, we're just, we're just winging
learning
it
as we go. It's been 3.5
So we
years.
decided that
No,
January will be our new season. So
that's right.
So anyway, so we're just kind of going to go through the episodes we did a little bit, kind of skim over them and talk about certain things. So the first episode we did of 2023 was called Anything You Feel Is Okay.
Totally. Yeah. What I remember about that. Oh wait, did I just cut you off?
No, I was like, so talk about it.
Yeah. As always, we don't have like every detail planned. We just start talking. So, Anything You Feel Okay, I believe, and you guys can go back and listen to the episodes. We were talking about like literally what the title says. Like anything you feel okay. If you're angry, it's okay. If you're sad, it's okay. If you're happy, it's okay. Like don't stuff your feelings. What we feel, we heal. Let yourself feel it. Do you remember anything else?
And that's if it's sad. If you feel sad, that's okay. But also if you want to laugh. Yep. If something's funny, because a lot of you in the beginning, this is hard for Michelle and I to remember being, 3.5 years, whatever it is out.
Yeah.
That a lot of you either just found us. We get a lot of those emails. Yes. We actually got a really sweet one recently. And so sometimes we forget. And so for those of you in the beginning, I remember the feeling of like, oh my gosh, that was funny. But like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to laugh. And so
Yeah.
we just want to remind you guys that anything you feel is okay, and to roll with it.
Rolling with the homies.
There it is. Okay, you say the next one. Do you have them up
All
too?
right, I do. And this was our number one listened to episode from 2023. And that would be Grief Myth number 1, Time Heals. And this is the biggest myth. Like, I used to tell people this, like, oh, it'll get better, time will get better. But I actually learned through grief recovery, which you guys have heard me talk about a million times, that it's not the time that heals, it's what you do with the time. For instance, let's say you have a flat tire and you just stare at it and you're like, come on, fill up. If you don't take action, it's never going to fill up.
That's a great analogy.
Right? You got to put the thing on and like the air come. There's like a technical term.
No, that was the technical terminology. That's how we say it in the mechanical world.
Okay, good.
You put the thing on and then the air,
flows.
does the thing.
Yeah. So anyways, you have to do something about it. And so it's what you do with your time. If you are here listening, you're doing something good with your time because you are trying to get better. If you're in counseling, if you're taking grief recovery classes or grief share, or like something like that.
Reading books,
like you're doing something. And so you will recover, but don't just sit back and think it's going to be better. It's going to be better. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about
I think that was great.
I think I covered it.
I think that's all that needs to be said about that. That's
okay,
my boat.
Forrest. Okay.
All right. So next one is grief myth number 2. You need to keep busy. So grief counselor, talk to us about this.
This is also from the grief recovery book, that a lot of people do what are called STRBs, short-term energy relieving behaviors. They're like things to fill their time so that they don't have to think about things. That could be like binge watching shows. It could be even things like healthy things like exercising. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Some people turn to alcohol. It's just anything.
Are you saying binge watching shows is unhealthy?
Not necessarily.
All right, good. I'm just making sure.
No, I didn't. If you're doing it to avoid feeling, right?
Yes,
so you got to think when you're doing things, why am I doing this? Oh, it's just fun. I love the show. That's different. But like anything you're doing that like stops you from grieving. There is a lot that like I've seen it because I've worked with a lot of people now. The people who stuff it down for years, like it's much harder because they've kept busy. I don't want to think about. This hurts to think about it. I'm like, I know, but it's the only way through it. Like can't go around it, can't go under it, got to go through it. Like that's the only way through grief.
I've read that book to my kids several times.
Right? Yeah, I knew it as a kindergarten teacher. And it's the same thing with grief. I tell people that all the time, especially in grief recovery. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I know this hurts and this is really hard. This is the only way for you to recover. You're not going to recover by not talking about it. So don't just keep busy to not feel the pain. You've got to let yourself feel it for what.
Yeah, don't run away from it.
Don't run away. Okay, let me see what the next one is. We're going kind of fast because we have like 40 to cover.
Yeah.
Let's see. 66. You don't have to let go. What do you remember about that one?
Well, I really liked that one because, a lot of us have this feeling that like in order to move forward, we don't like to say move on. We like to say move forward. In order to move forward, you have to like let go of them. That I feel like is kind of a myth too, even though we didn't title it that way. Because you carry these memories forward with you. You don't have to let go of the love. You don't have to let go of the devotion. You don't have to let go of anything, and especially don't have to let go of anything until you're ready. Obviously, to some degree, if you are looking forward to having another relationship someday, or if like we did, that you don't want to be alone for the rest of your life, at some point, there's some things that you do, in a sense, quote unquote, have to let go of. But you never have to let go of the memories. You never have to let go of what that person meant to you. You never have to stop talking about them. If you find a man or woman, whatever is the next chapter of your life, and they don't understand and they don't want to hear you talking about your late spouse, then my opinion is that you're not with the right person.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to remember that person always and talk about them whenever you want, because They were a very important part of your life. Anything to
Mm-hmm.
add on to that?
No, I think you about covered that one.
Don't be like Elsa and let it go.
Let it go. No, be like Elsa. She let it go.
But we're
Well,
saying you don't have to let go.
oh, wait, never mind. You're right. Don't be like Elsa. Okay, I got it.
That was red. All right,
I remember.
67.
What's that?
Grief myth number 3. You must be strong for others.
That is also from the grief recovery
Talk
book.
about it.
It's about like you're like being the pillar for everybody else, and that's something that you have to do as parents. We especially do this. Now there is a difference. We don't want to like be like a crying mess all the time in front of our kids, and it also depends on the age of your kids and stuff like that. But the point of this, when they talk about in the book, is like that's not your job to just be strong for others. Like you can
Mm,
feel the pain, all of the stuff that we just talked about, and not, have to be always strong. So that's it in a
I like
nutshell.
that. And then I should do this next one. Days
Okay.
away from being married.
Okay. Why don't you share what we talked about in
Married
that
and
one?
widowed. No, I'm just kidding. This is obviously you. But I cannot wait
Okay.
until that is my reality. But it's
Right?
not right now.
Yes,
So,
we'll do an episode when that's you. So that
yes.
looks like it was on March 14th, and I got married March 18th.
Oh, word.
So I believe I just talked about what I was feeling like. I remember that I actually visited Luke's grave a couple days before I got married, which I had no idea and hadn't planned on. It was just one day I was like, I feel like I want to do this, and just kind of like shared my emotions that I was like, so when I say talk to Luke, I'm not thinking I'm actually talking to him. It's just how I process sometimes at the grave. In fact, today I've thought about going there today because it's his birthday, see if the kids want to go. But I just sometimes just talk about things, and I was like, I'm getting married again. Doesn't mean I love you any less. And I think in this episode, I just really talk about just I'd actually love to listen to it again, like the emotions I was feeling at that moment, because I remember feeling a little conflicted, even though I was super, super excited. It was like, whoa, I'm marrying. It made him being gone seem more final. Like, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
marrying somebody else. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of great emotions. I was really, really excited about getting married.
Of course,
Um,
yeah. And as far as the talking to them thing, we all do that. It's just we're not supposed, just to put some clarity on
yes,
that, because
yes,
we've caught some flack here and there for that.
yes.
You're not supposed to try and contact them.
Contact, yes.
Like that is the big difference, like there's we all like talk to them, as I think it's just a normal part of grief, especially right after they die and stuff. Like I remember looking at Lacey's pictures and like, oh my gosh, like you were just such a great wife, and thank you
Yeah,
so much, thank you so much for serving us and for loving us and being so devoted and such a great mother. And I knew I wasn't actually talking to her, though. I wasn't actually trying to summon her spirit.
right. That's totally
And
different.
that's, yes, exactly. So anyways, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, so next one was creating a new life.
Mm.
Yeah, that was good. I liked
Wait,
that
that
one. I
must
liked.
be you because I was on my honeymoon. So it says March 22nd. So can you
Oh yeah,
tell me what
I'm
that
all
one was
sitting here.
about?
I'm all. That was great. That was just. I don't
Because
know
it
what
was
it was. That was
yours.
just such a great episode. No, just talking about you know, deciding who you are now and things like that, and like being the best version of yourself. You're
Mm,
creating a new life, and so for me, I believe at that time was I was pursuing real estate, which is a totally new career for me, but just creating a new version of yourself, deciding now
mm,
who you want to be,
yeah.
and getting, if you want to get fit, if your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to eat healthier, or whatever your goal might be, like this is a good time to rebrand yourself, so to speak. Of course you should always be the same person at your core, a follower of Christ, and you know what I mean, like a good-hearted person and things like that. But I mean material things,
Yeah.
picking up new hobbies, and getting into running, or something that you always wanted to do, maybe taking a photography class or an art class or something that take this opportunity if you want to call it that. I mean that in the least offensive way possible. Of course, this
Right,
isn't
right.
an opportunity we chose, but
No.
everything in life we can look at through a positive lens. And so, and I'm a big believer of that. And so, you can choose to look at your situation and create a new life for yourself. And what does that life look like? If you want to be in a relationship again, become the best version of yourself that's going to attract somebody amazing. Don't
Yeah.
worry about what they're going to be like. Worry about what you are like. And you're the kind of person that's going to attract that kind of person.
Yeah.
So, all right, next one is this might have been another
I looked at it, it says
me
you did
one.
it. Yeah, because I was still on my honeymoon or just coming back.
Another fantastic episode. No, it's not always rainbows and sunshine. So, since I did that episode, what do you think about that? Sorry, my footage
um,
is.
I don't remember if I actually listened to that one,
No, no,
but
just I
just
just
going by
mean
the
the topic in
title,
general. Yeah,
yeah, that life isn't always great. Like,
yeah,
I'm guessing that's what you talked about.
yeah. Just that the grief is a real thing, and sadness, and that things aren't always positive and happy.
Yeah.
So just kind of I was just thinking based off of that title what your input would be.
Yeah, that I mean, even now, like it's not always rainbows and sunshine. Like I don't think it ever is in life. Like life can improve a lot, as God heals your
Mm-hmm.
heart. But there's still times like even, today I had a little grief on Luke's birthday. Um I just got actually just a second ago a text from Luke's mom just saying this is a sad day. There's still grief that happens years later. Um, and that it's not always like, yay, like, okay, in my case, yay, I'm remarried. Everything is amazing. Yes, there's a lot of great things, but it's not always rainbows and sunshine.
Right.
It can be
Yeah.
hard days.
Yeah. Because it's life.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So the next one is for you.
Okay. Grief myth number 4. You need to grieve alone. This is also from
Hmm.
the grief recovery method. Some people, along with trying to be strong for others, they want to grieve alone. They're afraid to cry in front of other people. I remember you talking about you don't want to bother people. And
Hmm.
so, God created us to be in community, but a lot of people go to be alone and grieve alone. And that's not something you have to do. In fact, I think it's
Right.
super helpful. Like we found each other and found other people in a community where we could talk to people who got it. We weren't grieving alone. Like we found other people who like, oh, you're in the same place as my journey. Like you get it. I can talk to you about it. And just even people that aren't grieving like can help you. Like you were not made to do this alone. Like you're made to do this with other people. So don't believe the myth that you need to grieve alone and that you're bothering people. People want to help you. Most of the time, they just don't know what to do.
Yeah. Don't do
So,
what Mark did.
so you don't have to grieve alone. Anything
I
else you want
actually
to?
just read a post from myself from like 3 years ago. So it was a couple months after Lacey died. And I said in there specifically that I know a lot of you want to help me. It's really hard for me to ask for help, and said that I'm afraid that when all of this is over, if I lean on you guys, that I'm not going to have any friends left.
Mm,
And I
wow.
remember that was like a very real feeling that I was like, if I really tell you guys what I need and what I'm going through, and I bring this darkness to you, I'm not going to have any friends because nobody's going to want to hang out with me anymore if
Mm.
I tell you what's in my heart. Um, I was wrong. People can handle it.
Yeah.
I feel like people can handle a certain amount of it,
Yeah.
but you can kind of tell. You can get a good reading if people are,
Yeah.
over it. Okay, this next one, the next two were recommendations. This first one was a recommendation from my mother-in-law. The second
Hmm.
one was a recommendation from Tina.
Yeah. I remember that.
So the first one, grief is not a competition.
Mm,
You remember doing that
yes.
one?
Yes. Like the people who like you're talking about your grief and then they have to one up it. Like,
Yes.
well, that happened to me and this happened. Or
Yes.
oh, even us thinking like the death of a spouse is worth okay, just hear me out, is worse than the death of a pet. Okay, just hear me out because I learned this in grief recovery. Yes, it is like it's not a competition. There like to that person, that might be all they have, and they may
Mm-hmm.
feel that same depth of the grief. Like I didn't really realize
Mm.
this until I went through grief recovery. And actually, like someone came to my grief recovery about the death of a pet, and at first I was like, but then it was so many underlying things. Like it wasn't
Right.
just that. And so there's no competition. Yes, there are certain things that cause your life to change more. Okay, losing a spouse causes your life to change more than losing a pet. But in like the way that person is feeling may be the same. If that is their everything, they have no kids, they have no, like they may feel that depths of that. And so
Yes.
grief is not a competition about like, well, my grief is worse than, it's all grief. Grief is grief. Pain is pain.
Yes, but that being said, if somebody is telling you about the
Oh,
loss of their spouse, you
I
should
know.
not say, I
No,
know
no,
how
no.
you feel. I lost my
Right.
cat or whatever.
Yes.
Like, because
Yes.
then
No,
also
don't
you're
say that.
making it a competition by saying that, you know?
True. Um,
Um, and
and
it's going to be really hard for somebody who just lost their husband or wife to hear you talking about your cat or dog. It's not that your grief isn't real. And I know we're not
mm-hmm.
talking to anybody, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Just kind of generalizing. That's so hard to like even begin to like understand. Like I lost
Right.
the mother of my kids.
Right.
I understand that losing a pet is hard,
Right.
but it's you know they're not to be compared.
No, we shouldn't be
um,
comparing them at all.
yes,
Just
but that
side,
goes back to it not being a competition.
right. Side
That
note.
supports that.
So, Linnea, on our episode with her recently, she shared about like a situation that happened to her on the way home from the grief retreat. How there was a lady who was like, "I get it. Like, I'm divorced. You know, we're all part of the same club." To her and her friend who were coming home from the widow retreat, but it got worse than that. She shared, and I think it's fine to share because she shared it on her Facebook about a person who said to her, like, found out she was widowed, and then was like, "Oh, like I'm divorced. I actually wish I was widowed instead." And just like, don't say that. Like, you
Yeah,
don't wish someone was dead. Like,
right.
ever,
I
ever.
understand being angry, especially if you've been betrayed or something like that. A lot of us know what that feels like. But yeah, you don't tell somebody that. It's just I don't know. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all say stupid things from time to time. But if you can have that knowledge in advance before you say it to somebody, don't.
Yeah,
So okay,
exactly.
and then the next one, this was the Tina
Yeah.
suggestion, was the grief butterfly effect, or just the butterfly effect in general. That is a really cool
Yes,
concept. I really
it
like that.
is.
And my main thing that I go to on that was, well, first of all, me moving to Tennessee and
Right.
how many butterfly effects that has had. But probably my main one, not probably, I mean, my main one is like remembering back to you sitting there trying to convince me to do this podcast. And I was like,
Right.
no, Michelle, stop asking me. I don't want to do it. And then finally, I felt God speaking to me about it. And then I was like, okay, if she asks me one more time, and I said that thinking that there was no way you were going to ask me again because I
Oh,
was
I'm
very
such a
adamant that I didn't want to do it. And I was like, all right, God, if she asks me again, I'll say yes. And I remember you asked me one more time, and I was like, okay. And you're like, oh my gosh, really? And
yeah.
I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so, but because of that, not only have we been able to help a lot of people, which praise God, I thought the reason I didn't want to do it, I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody's going to listen to us. But not only to me, to my heart, that's something so personal and just makes me just filled with so much love and feeling so loved by God that we were helping Tina through her
Mm,
grief
that's
before I
amazing.
even knew her.
Wow.
And
That's crazy to
then
think about.
now we're in love,
Yeah.
and like through this podcast, I met the woman that I was praying for.
That's
And it's
amazing.
just like amazing. And it's just his hand in things. It's just like, oh, it's so incredible. It's like, why were you putting that on my heart so much? Oh, okay. Because
That
you
is
wanted us to do
crazy.
work for you for this community of hurting people and
Right.
pointing people to him in their
Right.
grief. But I had this like gift of meeting Tina through this podcast. Like, would
Yeah.
not have met her. The only reason I met her is because of this podcast. Like, that's crazy. We lived on other sides of the country.
Well,
And then I
let's
happened to move 4.5 hours away from her,
I know.
you know?
But let's go back even further. If I hadn't have joined Young and Widowed with Children and
Yeah.
I hadn't have seen your post and God didn't talk to me in church and say, reach out to that guy and tell him what I told you about being chosen, like we wouldn't be here. Like all those
I
steps
know.
had to happen. Cray cray.
Yep.
Like
And I remember joining that group because I was so desperate because Lacey was like 2 days away from dying. And I just needed somebody to understood. And I remember joining that group, and I remember when they accepted me, I just made this big old post that I'm about to
yeah.
lose my wife, I'm about to lose my bride, I've watched her suffer and all this stuff, and I don't have anybody to talk to that understands. And just the outpouring of people like, we're praying for you and we're so sorry you're here and blah blah blah. And then yeah, I met you through that group, and then here we are doing this podcast that's like, it's just crazy. I
Wait,
mean,
let's go back
we
even further. Like, I don't even think you know this part. So, the reason I found the group, I decided to sell my house, but I wasn't quite there. I was just starting to meet with a realtor, or I knew a realtor who was a widow. And she told me there were Facebook groups. I never even thought to look for a Facebook group. And either she sent me the link directly for this one, or to somehow I found it because I had the thoughts of selling my house. Like, that's crazy too. Like,
or if somebody
or,
didn't name that group Young and Widowed with Children,
right,
I wouldn't have joined it.
right.
It was
I was
because of the
29.
name of the group, because you were 29. Dang. You've been 29 for a minute.
I know.
So anyways, sorry, we're going to run out of time.
Well,
We
yeah,
might have to
that
make
one,
this part 2 if we
it
don't keep
might
going.
have to. Let's just see how far we get. Because this one, yeah, butterfly effect, that's crazy when you start
So
thinking
thanks,
about it.
Tina. Great episode. I think we can skip Mother's Day. We did an episode
Why?
for
That's
Mother's
so
Day.
good. Oh, it's
Oh,
just
well, go
me
ahead.
talking. It
Yeah.
was my episode. I
Oh,
just
sorry.
talked about being prepared, having a plan, just kind of like with all the holidays, like need to know that it's going to be difficult. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but when it comes to Mother's Day, go listen to that one again.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I was thinking that. I was like, well, it's not really Mother's Day right now.
right. Okay, let's keep
And then
going.
this was a, oh no, sorry, hold on.
Oh, okay. Widowed
Um,
now and then, right? Oh, that was
then
just
and
us
now.
talking about, yeah.
Yes. Michelle and Mark, Mark and Michelle talk about what life was like when they first became widowed, and now, nearly 3 years later, they share tools and strategies that have helped them along the way.
Yeah,
So there's that one. No.
Go back to that one, and it will tell you strategies. Oh, I think I did 76. Yep.
Okay.
Can I recover from grief? So this is right when I was learning all, like really getting into grief recovery, and I didn't know if you could before, but I actually do believe, I've seen it many, many times. Yes, we will always miss the person, but we can recover from that heartbreaking, like awful grief. So if you listened a lot, you've heard this before. I'm going to say it again. I learned it from grief recovery. So it's like you're born with a backpack. Every time you have a loss, there's a rock put into it. And then when something big happens, like a death of a spouse, you have a boulder put into it. And then you could like have one little thing happen and you're like, I can't function. It's because you need to like take out the rocks. And so that's what we're doing. Grief recovery is we're helping to take out the losses in your life and to be able to move forward. We complete like unresolved grief by completing the action of saying things that never were said or we felt were never heard. And anyways, I believe
That's
100%.
really good.
Yeah, there's actually evidence based that people can recover from grief with grief recovery. Shout out to grief recovery. Reach out to me if you want to know more about it. It's an amazing program that's helped so many people. So that's
And you do it.
I do.
Right?
I am a grief recovery specialist. So
Boom.
I always put a link in the descriptions if you want to learn more. Book a call with me, and we'll discuss like how this could work for you.
Boom.
Boom.
I love it. Okay, morning to dancing.
It sounds like it's just me. Michelle shares how God changed her morning into dancing. So for me, that's a literal thing. Like, cause I love dancing. And I think I've just had this so like several times when music turns on and I'm dancing and I'm like, God, you have totally changed my morning to dancing. Like just talking about being this place of like total despair to where I'm really happy. And I got this question. I can't remember if I sent it on to you. I think I said I would send it to you. I don't know if I ever did. So we'll talk about it. A friend that I met at the grief retreat, who's also a podcast listener, said, do you think you and Mark, like both like individually, like would still be saying that you're happy. It was after a recent episode. I gotta find that.
Mm,
Would still be happy even if you didn't find someone else to love. Like I want to know,
mm.
is that the reason? And I said no, because God had already healed my heart. It was like healing it before Joel.
Yeah, yeah. You can listen back to before we met Tina and Joel,
Yeah,
and
so
we
that's
were
why
we were still doing Forrest Gump quotes.
yes, we were still doing. I'm gonna find that exact question here. I don't remember if I ever sent that on to you, but I was like, I'm sure that Mark would say the same thing.
I feel like I do remember reading that.
Yeah,
Maybe you just told me about it.
I think it was a text.
But I can answer that and say yes, I am inclined to be a happy, positive person.
Yes,
And so yes, I was
it's
very, very happy. There were, of course, there was a lot of heartbreak in my heart and heartache, and I felt really lonely and things like that. But like my kids wouldn't have described me as a sad person. We
right.
had fun, we laughed, we played games, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd say I had more moments of feeling very alone and
Yeah,
the overwhelming loneliness, you know?
it's the episode about life getting better, life will be good again. So she's saying, can you both say with confidence that life will be good again? And I wrote, yes, I can say with confidence that even if I wasn't with Joel, my life would be good again. I know this because my life was good before him. I had moved into a new house, worked on a new career, started line dancing, and figuring out who I was again. Yes, he 100% enhances my life and makes it even better. And I'm so very thankful for him, but I believe my life would still be good without him. I'll ask Mark too. So
Allow me to say ditto, minus
ditto.
the line dancing. Um,
Yes.
I have, I think the Lord turned my morning into a good meal. I don't know. I was
Mm.
just trying to think of something else that I like because it's not dancing. I
Yeah.
mean, I boogie from time to time. I pop lock and things like that. No, I'm just
Drop.
kidding. Um, so, all right. Next was
Mm. Oh, this is one that I interviewed. I don't think you were part of this one. It was widowed suicidal thoughts and finding reasons to live again with special
right. I
guest
remember
Sydney
watching
Smith.
that one.
Great episode. She talked about a topic that's not talked about very much about suicidal thoughts. It was actually, I think, right before her husband died.
Mm.
But just it's a powerful episode, and like just basically how she learned to live again. So I would definitely go back to that episode and listen to that.
That was a good one. I remember. I it's so I hate saying that it was a good episode when it's like, you know what I mean? Like when it's
Yeah.
somebody who's like sharing their tragedy. I just mean it's
Yeah.
insightful
Yes.
and you can relate. So,
Yes.
yeah, anyways. Okay, so next up, therapy for your widowed soul.
What did we talk about that?
I don't
Let's
even
see.
know. We
We discuss
discussed
things
things. Go
that I've done
ahead.
to help them. That's basically this is before I had like the fancy AI descriptions. So it's like a couple words. So
Why'd you just tattle on yourself?
oh, I mean, I really got better at writing the descriptions recently. But so I'm not
So,
sure. Go back
yeah,
and listen.
go back and listen and let us know. We talk about things that we have done to help us through our widowed journey.
Perfect. Okay, and then this
Okay.
one, that's a video. Okay, that's when I was learning how to
Oh,
do videos, so
I'm
skip
all
all of
wait. We
those.
did that twice.
No, now I know it
I
all
get
does
it.
at
I get
once.
it.
Okay. Okay, this is another one I did. Like, where were you? I don't know.
I don't
You're gone
know.
for a lot of
If
these.
you listen, it'll say where I was. I think.
Yeah, I usually do. In this episode, okay, so widowed with 3 young children with special guest Trisha Thyree. This was a really, really good one. She shares the story. I'm just basically reading of her husband's life, death, and how she survived with 3 young children. So I met her because she interviewed me for Hope for Widows, and then I interviewed her, and she had a really powerful
Mm.
story, just of like living life again. She also wrote a journal. Oh, I wish I had the name of it. I think it's called Thrive. And she donated them, a whole bunch of them, for our widow's retreat. So thank you so
Oh,
much for
that's
Trisha
cool.
for doing that. And you can check out that journal on Amazon. It's a great, like, we gave it to all the participants, and it's like a journal for widows. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
So
that's so nice.
thanks, Trisha.
Oh, what a blessing. Yeah, that's super sweet. Okay.
Mm, this,
Next, I remember I was part of this one.
Yes.
My Husband Saw Heaven with special guest Kim
Mm,
Lancaster.
that was
Another great
powerful.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, like how she talked about how he had actually seen it and like came back and like shared heaven with her, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah. Go listen to it
Go
if
listen
you
for the
haven't.
whole story.
And
All
then,
right.
no, no offense to anybody else, but the next one is one of my favorite people that I've met through here, Rob
Yes.
Langer.
Yes, he was awesome.
Yeah, I just really we're buddies.
Mm-hmm.
So Widower's episode, A Story of Hope with special guest Rob
That
Langer.
was really
Great
good.
guy. Yeah, he has a very inspirational story about his beautiful wife Kathy. They had a
Yes.
great love story, and I've just enjoyed getting to know him. He's just a
Yeah.
really funny guy.
He's
Who like
fun. Yeah.
I love when he'll like send me messages randomly after like an episode. Like, so remember
Nice.
when I was like, oh gosh, I don't remember how I got it wrong, whether the song I was singing was Journey, and then he messaged me to say it was Foreigner, or it was Foreigner and he said it was Journey, something like that. But he also told me recently that because I switched over to the iPhone, that I went to the
Oh
dark
yeah.
side.
Oh, he said no, he went to the light side. He was
He's like, I
also
can't believe you're such a traitor.
That's funny. He was
Yeah, he
also the
cracks me up.
inspiration for the last episode. What
Yeah.
grieving people wish you knew at Christmas. Well, that was the name of the article he shared, and something like what we wish you knew at Christmas. So he
Yes.
that was another episode he was involved in because I saw his post and was able to share it. So thanks, Rob.
Thanks for being such a good fan and friend.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. Go listen to his episode number 82 if you haven't heard it.
Yes.
It's great. So,
Oh,
and
I
then
did the
man,
next one.
we were on a
You're on
roll
a
of
guest
guests.
role.
A
Like you're
guest
like yes,
role.
yes, guest. So this is 6 months widowed and feeling God's peace with special guest Kristen Lattis. And actually we've been playing phone tag, so I need to
Did
talk
we
to her
say that
soon.
right? Is that how you
Lattis,
say
maybe
it?
Lattis,
I
Lattis,
thought it was
Lattis.
Latas.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm
Kristen,
just,
sorry.
that's
But
okay. People say
hers,
my last name wrong all the time.
how do they say Massaro wrong? Like Massaro?
Massaro or Massaro. Yeah, those are the
Massaro.
two, or they roll the R's really hard. Massaro.
Oh, I used to get all the time batter for Bader. I'm like, it's not like, look at
Rhymes
how it's
with
spelled.
Vader.
Yes, that's what I always tell people. Okay. Anyways, so I remember it was like she'd only been widowed 6 months, but she had a lot of like
Wow.
really good perspective to share, and it's a great story. So check it out. All right, we're rolling through these. Another guest. Widowed by suicide with special guest Kimberly Coland.
Mm.
So she also wasn't married. She was married 4 months, I think, when her husband died by suicide. And so it's a pretty powerful story. Another topic that's not talked about a lot. That's a whole other category that's I don't fully like understand because I didn't go through it.
Right.
I've worked with several widows now who have their husbands have died by suicide, and it's a whole like there's a whole extra emotions that come with that, you know. And
Absolutely.
so if this is how you were widowed, I highly recommend listening to this episode because it's somebody who gets it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like we've talked about before, that we lost our spouses to cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody like Tina, who lost her husband in an instant,
Yeah, different.
that there's a lot of things that we can't even relate to with her. But yeah, I feel like suicide is this category all to itself. That's just it's just terrible. Such a tragedy. So anyways, yeah, go listen to that if you relate to that, or if you just want to hear about it. What's next? Don't tie
Don't.
guilt to your grief.
We both did that one.
Yes, I thought that was really good,
Yes.
because a lot of people do tie guilt in with their grief, and did he know that I loved him, and
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean, stuff like that, or had I not have done this, would he have died? And I think
Right.
I think that was the episode where I shared somebody I talked to a long time ago, way before we started this podcast, a widow that she went to the grocery store and she forgot to get a couple things, and she asked her husband
Yeah.
if he would go back and get butter or something, like so simple, whatever it was. And he said, yeah, sure, I'll take the kids. And on the way, the husband got in a car accident, and this woman lost her husband and her 2 kids. All of them died. And like, gosh, how do you tell somebody in that situation not to feel guilty? But
That's
you
so
can't.
hard. Right.
But like, I remember she told me this whole story, and there was one sentence that shocked me the most. Is she said, "What if I hadn't have forgotten the butter?" And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, how do you, I mean, she's going to have that question for the rest of her life, you know? What if I didn't forget the butter? What if I just remembered the butter? And it was like, oh my gosh. And whatever the thing was, I'm making up butter. I don't remember what it was, but point remains. Maybe it was milk or whatever. But okay, so next up, go ahead.
Hold on one second.
Oh, a super fan, one of our super fans, 86.
Oh, married and widowed in 4 months with special guest Julia. Is it Gillette or Gillette? It was Gillette.
Gillette, I think. I think of the razors, and
we've
that's
known
Gillette.
her for years.
Yes.
Like, since the beginning, and
yes,
just she has a powerful story too. You know, she'd only been married 4 months. Like
I know. I remember, and she had just moved, right? She moved to was it Wisconsin?
She's all alone. I think so.
Yeah, that was crazy.
She opens up about her early struggle. She had grief with losing her mother and how it resurfaced when she met Dylan. Anyways, just it's a powerful story. So I love all the guest episodes. Like they're so good. So good. It makes me like, we need more guests. Like, let's get some more guests. It's been a while.
Be our guest. Be our guest. I can never remember the rest.
Put our service to the test. Tie a napkin round your chest. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's it.
All right, what's next?
Oh, I did this one with Michelle LaCroix. Michelle Croyle. Anyways, this is someone I met through another podcast. It's how to deal with trauma. So this was really powerful. And I recently talked to her because I was a guest on her podcast a couple weeks ago. And she just has such great advice. That was when I talked to her about seeing this homeless man on the side of the road who was dying, and like how it like I totally panicked, and it like all this stuff happened. And she said I was dealing with PTSD, and like how your body is trying to like associate where you're at, and like she just really made sense of a lot of things. And so definitely listen to this one, because she has like that licensed counselor perspective on everything that we don't have. And so I would highly recommend listening to this one.
Yeah, you guys got your work cut out for you if you haven't listened to all of these.
Yeah.
We just put the content out. All you got to do is go listen to it.
Yes. We did the next one together, Widowed Quickly, with special guest Wendy Robel, which, side note, I just saw she announced she's engaged.
Oh, no way.
Congratulations, Wendy. And at that time, I think she had just started dating someone again, or I don't know. But she's talking about she's super excited. She's engaged. So I'm very happy.
That's awesome. Yes, that's great. She lost her husband to cancer.
Yep.
Stage 4 liver cancer.
I think they hadn't been married very long either.
Very married.
Very married. They hadn't been, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So anyways, that's another great episode. So take a listen. Self-care for widows.
Oh, this was the kayak episode.
This is the fun paddleboarding. This was a fun one where I was like meeting Stacy, who's been on several episodes. And she works on Widow Goals with me. She was our retreat coordinator. She's one of my good friends. Anyways, we were going paddleboarding, and I was surprised that the quality turned out so good. And
it was good.
Just talk about ways to like take care of yourself as a widow. So, we even talked about nails. We talked about an app. I'm looking at all the like notes. So it's kind of fun for like a more fun, different kind of episode. So there's that one, 89.
I just say shave. Get your hair cut. This for men.
Yeah.
And smell good. There you go.
No,
if you have questions about cologne, hit me up.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm an expert.
The three shave, show up, and what is it? Okay, so it's in the movie Hop. We watch that every Easter since the kids were little. And the guy's trying to get a job, and the sister's like, it's just the three you shave, you show up, and something else. I don't know. Anyways.
I don't remember.
I don't remember the
version.
Third. Okay.
Okay.
Something bad?
Yeah, well, just the way I heard it growing up.
Okay.
Okay, so next one to 91, right?
No, 90. How to
Did
handle
I
the
miss
would-be
one?
days. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just talking about like this would like today would have been Luke's 46th birthday and like
Mm-hmm.
the we would have been doing like I think I was talking, yes, that was right after my would be 20-year anniversary. And so I
Yes.
just kind of like talked through some of that and like how to prepare for it and just I think we just talk about how to handle those days.
Yep. That about sums that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to go fast because we've been
We're all
talking about these
speeding
forever.
through them now. I know.
Yeah.
We're getting close. Okay,
Um,
now 91, right?
yes.
Your spouse died. Now what? So this is for. I know it sounds funny, but this is.
Early
Sorry, I just
days.
saw a little note.
Yeah.
This is for the early, but I just saw a little note that said they may even sing or attempt to sing some '90s songs.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
So yes, that is an episode for somebody that is in the beginning. We've made quite a few of those along the way, some older ones. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
if you're new in the journey and you have not listened to episode 91 yet, go ahead and do that. Man, we did a lot in a year.
I know it's crazy. So then we have this was a great one
Another great
too.
guy.
A
Yeah,
widower's story of love, loss, and eternal perspective with special guest David how do you
Harity.
pronounce Harity,
I,
that's right. And you like knew him for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah. He actually, him and I have been Facebook friends for a while and have messaged back and forth quite a bit. Another really good guy. Good. He's become a good friend of mine. He has gotten remarried and
Mm-hmm.
just seems so happy, and I'm so happy for him. They just seem really in love, and his wife also friended me, which is cool.
Yeah.
So that's a great episode. He's a really good guy.
Yeah. Now
Oh, these are always fun. Go ahead.
93 clues clueless things people say as if and so it's
Yes.
just we've done a couple episodes pretty much dumb things people say but we worded it a little
Yes.
nicer.
But this one
um
we themed around the movie Clueless.
yes, we did like some common phrases like God need another angel too, you'll find someone else. We talk about like don't compare like oh I'm divorced the same as widowed, just people things that people say and then how to like give them grace and
Yeah, yep. Because we always try
not.
to point back to the positive. That was
Yes.
the episode we were rolling with the homies and we were keeping it real.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, 94.
How
How to
to
make
make.
purpose out of your pain. In
Mm.
this heartfelt and uplifting conversation, Michelle Bader Ebersole and Mark Massaro share their experiences of finding purpose through pain. They
Mm-hmm.
discuss the power of reaching out to others even while grieving
Mm.
and how it can lead to healing for both the giver and the receiver. And then it goes
Yes.
on. This is apparently when
I
you
think we were
started using
just.
AI.
What? I just got better at writing. So I think we just talk about like letting God use what you've been through to help other people
Yes,
in different
yes.
ways. We did the podcast, but it can be much simpler things too, just reaching out to a new widow or just looking for ways that God
Serving
can use you,
somebody.
serving
Yeah.
somebody, letting him make purpose. Like God doesn't waste anything. Like you've been through this, let there be a reason. Like we don't always
Mm,
know ultimately like the reason, but you look for opportunities for how your pain can help someone else.
absolutely. Next episode 95.
Widowed and rising again. I don't know if you were on this one.
I believe I was.
Oh, okay. Yes, Angela Heights.
An incredible story of how she met
Thank you.
George.
That's right. Yes,
Yes,
aggressive
I
form of
love that
cancer.
story. If you want to hear a
Oh
really
yeah,
sweet love story, go listen to that
the
one.
ice skating rink. Yes, yes, that was an
Uh,
awesome story.
I think was it an ice skating rink? I
I'm
thought it was
reading it
a
right off the note.
roller skating rink, wasn't it?
Well, I thought it was ice skating. So
Well,
well,
we'll go with that. I thought it
we'll
was
have.
roller
I
skating,
think it
but I
actually
could be
was,
wrong.
but AI once in a while gets
I
things wrong. So
Either way, it was a great love
it was a great
story.
story. Yes.
Okay, 96.
Uh, Oh, I this was mine. What life was like 6 weeks after my husband died. I actually pulled an episode
Oh
from
yeah.
my other podcast and the Peace Cast, and it is so raw. Like it makes me cry when I hear it. Like I cry through the whole thing. But the point of this is I wanted to show how much different life is now that I
Mm,
was where a lot of our listeners are. And
yeah.
so people did tell me that it helped them to see, where they were, where I was, and to
Yeah.
relate
Well,
to
it's
that.
like they can see a timeline of what our lives used to look like and do look like now. I even
Yeah.
have that with episode 1.
Yeah.
With our podcast, and
Yeah.
like that I can go back and be like, wow, things were so different.
Yes.
Um okay, 97. Hope for the brokenhearted. I think we just wanted to express
Yeah.
uh what things, like we were just talking about, what things were like for us in the beginning and what they're like now, and we wanted to give people hope that things get better
Yep. That's pretty
with
much what it's all.
time.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Well, and actions, time and actions
Yes,
together.
yes. I was going full circle.
We talk
Um,
about the significance of seeking counseling and plugging into supportive community. We encourage listeners to take steps towards healing, provide resources. Anyway, I'm kind of reading from the
mhm.
AI. We can honor the past while embracing the present. We talk about that. Discovering hope and faith. We share our experiences of feeling overwhelmed by grief and how turning to God provides strength to endure. They
Mm,
discuss the importance of relying on faith during dark times and finding solace in scriptures.
absolutely. Praise God.
Yes.
Okay,
Just
this next one was fun,
oh
and it's pretty
yeah, it was
it's pretty
different.
self-explanatory.
Yeah.
How widows and widowers can stay one step ahead of scammers.
Yes.
You are a target for scammers. If you don't know that yet,
Uh-huh.
it's probably because you haven't been scammed yet. So
Yep. And we're
go
like
listen to that episode.
constantly on Widow Too Soon Facebook page. Like when I go in, I see someone's like commented on every single person's. I usually go and
Yes.
look at, and it's like a doctor, a bodybuilder, or like something.
Yeah. I've
And
blocked a bunch of those
yeah,
dudes.
me too. And they're like brand new, like they're not real. They're scammers. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're usually, they come in the form of big buff doctors
yeah.
or Navy SEALs.
Uh huh.
And you'll see that they respond to like several people.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Oh,
we
it's
did
a good
a
one.
very very cool episode with a really cool guy. Episode 99.
Yes.
Go ahead.
What it's like to be married to a widow with special guest Joel Ebersole.
I
I
had a lot of
really,
fun on that one.
yeah, it was really cool just getting his input on things and just him talking about how he gives a space for things. And I did have a negative comment from this one. This lady reached out to me and said, "You can't be married and be a widow. Like that should
Yeah,
not be the
wrong.
title." We already talked about that before, but how
Yeah,
that's, but it's a great one to get the perspective of someone who is married to someone who was a widow and like what that's like.
absolutely.
And of course, I think it's amazing because I think Joel did a great job. And you did
I
a great
think you
job
did
asking
too.
him questions. Like that was really good.
It's what I do.
That's what I do. Okay. We're getting there.
We're
Ooh,
getting there. The
100.
100th episode. We did that one live.
Yes. And oh yeah, that one's just saying we're doing, and then that one is our live episode. So we just went
Yes.
over like frequently asked questions and
Engaged with the
whatever.
audience.
Yeah. So go back and listen to
Yeah.
that one. It's kind of fun. Maybe we'll do another one of those at some
Whoa,
point.
whoa, whoa. Take it easy.
Oh, you
Signing me
didn't
up
like,
for live
you did not
episodes.
like the
No.
live one.
No, it's okay.
I,
I just it just makes me nervous for some reason.
yeah. Well,
It's
we'll
okay.
push past that and do another one
Yeah,
at some point.
we'll push. Will we? Okay.
At
Uh,
200.
now the next one was whoever thought of this episode was really
That was
clever.
your title,
Oh,
and I
that's
think
right.
that was just you. Was that just you? That
No, I
Mark
don't.
shares.
Oh, was it?
It
Oh,
just says in
I
this episode, Mark
I just
shares
was
about his
super
time.
proud of the title. Episode 101, Widowed 101,
Oh yeah,
Analyzing
you totally
Anger.
did this one. I remember listening to it.
Okay.
For some reason, I wasn't there. So
Shares about his anger and talks about different strategies that you can use to control it. Yeah, I don't think I used AI for that one.
no, it's pretty self-explanatory. So that's a good one.
So, okay, number 102, because we're
Oh,
almost caught up here, right?
navigating grief during holidays. We've talked about this on several episodes. It's just basically, and I'm not going to go all into it. We just had the holidays, but how to be prepared for the holidays, blah blah blah. So when it's the holidays, listen to that.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, 103.
Oh,
Where
that's a
do
good
we
one.
fit in now?
Oh yeah, because that was inspired by a listener's email who was saying, "Where do I fit in now? Like I don't fit in with my
Mm-hmm.
married friends. I don't fit in with my other friends. Just like where do I fit in?" And we talked about like you can have a new sense of normal, um, and just I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but where do we fit in?
But it was good.
It was
It's
good.
funny because as we get closer to the more recent ones, I'm having a harder time remembering
I
them.
know, but we just did them. It shouldn't be that hard. It's like a month ago.
And then you did this one, so go ahead.
Let's see. Hold on.
104.
Oh yes, that was the one I was just talking about. And this is actually one of the most shared and listened to recent episodes. And I didn't tell you this yet. She shared it in. There's a page called "Very Young and Widowed."
Oh,
And
wow.
I think if you're in your 20s, which she is, and she shared it. And then it was so cool because someone in that group reached out to her and said, because of you, I don't feel as alone, like shared it with her.
Oh,
And so
wow.
there's a lot of listens because she shared it in another widows group, and it really reached out to a lot of people. So it's a
Go back to
very
the butterfly
powerful,
effect.
yes, it's a very powerful story. It was a very sudden death. She was very young. I think she was 26 when it happened. And just how she was able to get her life back. And it's a powerful episode. I highly recommend it.
Word. 105. Navigating widowhood, discovering your new normal. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about the depths of loneliness, the unexpected challenges of blending past memories with new
Mm.
experiences, and the delicate balance between remembering and moving forward. Listeners will find solace and solidarity.
Yes. Wait, listen to this part. Woven throughout the episode are lighthearted moments, from mishaps while driving to shared meals, reminding us that joy and humor can coexist with grief.
AI creeps me out. Mark candidly opens up about the fragility of life and his own battles with depression and PTSD, while Michelle reflects on the anchoring role of her faith. That just makes you sound so much better than me.
Yeah, that was the point.
Why it's all straight up. It's all while Michelle reflects on the anchoring role of her faith.
That's funny. I didn't realize
Mark has
that.
depression and PTSD, and Michelle leaned on her faith.
That's funny.
Okay, and then
Oh.
episode 106.
Oh yeah, we're
You did
almost
this
got
one.
it.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is just the last one right before Christmas. What we wish our friends and family knew at Christmas. I basically read an article and talked about the things we wish we knew. And when it's close to Christmas and you want to share that, go back to that episode. And boom, drop the mic. That is how many? 43 episodes? What do we say we started at?
Something like that.
We started at
43.
60?
Yeah, this is 44 cents. 44
We
of the
did.
year. We almost
This is our
did a full
44th?
year. We
We
almost
did
didn't skip. We missed
44
what, 8 weeks?
episodes. Yeah. That's great. Let's give us a round
What
of
can I
applause.
say except you're welcome?
You're welcome. I like, especially when the movie came out, I still do it with my kids. Like if they don't say thank you, I'll go, "You're welcome."
Mm.
And then they'll go, "Thank you." And then Joel told me recently, he's like, "They're almost he says adults as adults. He's like, "They're almost grown adults. Let them say thank you on their own."
Well, it's like when I sneeze and I'm like, "Bless you, Daddy. Thanks."
Yeah.
And they're like,
'Cause
"Bless
they don't
you."
see- That's
Yes.
cute.
So,
Anyways,
all right.
let's celebrate good times. Come on.
Come on.
Which, side note, that is the song that Joel and I walked out of our wedding to.
Oh,
So,
nice. And you took
celebrate
off
good
in the
times.
airplane?
Well,
Well, we did another year of this podcast. Another year. It's crazy.
I know. That is crazy. We started.
I know, right?
Yeah, May 4th, 2021. So
May the 4th be with you.
that's why I remember it. So it's about 2.5 years that this
Wow.
podcast has been going. And wow. Like
80 countries,
Yeah.
over 45,000 listens. And
That's
I thought nobody
insane.
would care.
Right? And just the emails.
Yeah.
Keep the emails coming. Even if we don't
Yes.
respond all the time, like know that we get them. It means a lot to us. It helps us to know that we are making a difference. You know,
Yes.
so many of you have told us how it's helped you through your first few weeks and months of being widowed. And that some of you like binge listen, and like it's just crazy. Like when you really I feel like this is kind of like the 100th episode where we were talking about all these things, but just it's amazing to see what's happened. And I'm excited for 2024. You know, we're going to have more guests. If you would like to be a guest, I guess I'm saying this early, but we really love to hear more of your stories. It seems like it's been a little, we had one guest recently, but then it had been a while. So we'd love to hear more of your stories. We're going to have more resources coming to you in 2024. We're going to talk about that. If you have ideas of things you want us to talk about, I'm still going to get a poll out there on Facebook. I forgot to do that.
So give us something to talk about.
A little widow discussion to talk about. Anyways.
So, and then obviously we wouldn't have this podcast. We wouldn't still be doing this if it wasn't for you guys.
That's
So thank
right.
you so much for listening, for
Yeah.
faithfully listening, for reaching out, for showing us support, and praying for us when you think about it and all of that stuff. We really appreciate you guys as well, in the audience. So thank you.
Yeah, you know what? Super sweet. I just want to share this too. Like, just another positive thing. It's not about the podcast per se, but it's like what I do with grief recovery and like reaching out to people. So, I had posted the happy birthday thing this morning, and one of my friends, grief recovery people, like I know her through this widow journey. She wrote, "Happy heavenly birthday, Luke. We've never met, but your beautiful Michelle has helped me to manage the grief and the loss of my own husband, Ryan. I'm sure you were very proud of her. She is an inspiration." And
Wow,
I was
that's
like,
awesome.
that is so sweet, you know. And then I've shared about another listener who told me she had a vision of her husband meeting Luke in heaven and
Mm,
thanking him for like just saying, you know, how much I'd helped his wife, or yeah, how much your wife has helped my wife. And just
all
like,
right.
there's so many beautiful stories like that. And we really appreciate you sharing them. And, you know, because we didn't know when we started this, like what would happen. And it's continued to grow. And I think it's at a good place. Like, you know, there's, you know, a lot of listeners all over
Yeah.
in all different age ranges.
And it's that reminded me of something that I wanted to share that I had the other day. Like I said, we visited West Virginia. We went to Tina's neck of the woods, and I had this really cool moment, but it made me like really emotional, and I started like I had to like hold it back because I was
Mm,
getting choked up. But I was putting in some blinds for her, and like hanging new blinds
yeah.
around her house. She wanted to put new blinds in, and while I was screwing something in, I just had this vision of her husband like shaking my hand and saying, "Thanks for taking
Wow.
care of my wife."
Wow.
And even as I say it right now, it makes me all emotional
It's
because
powerful.
I'm proud to take care of his wife, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just this moment of like, whoa, like I don't know, it was really neat. So I just wanted to share that. But
That is powerful.
so, anyways, I will pray for us.
Okay, sounds good.
Lord, I'd just like to thank you so much for what you've done through us with this ministry, and pray that if it's your will, that you would continue it. And then we collectively, as an audience, lift up Michelle and are praying for the tinnitus, the ear
Mm-hmm.
ringing, the headaches, which thankfully, praise your name, have gone away for now. We pray that they don't come back. We pray for everything that's coming up. Um, I don't remember if Michelle has mentioned it, so I
Yeah.
won't. But you have, okay. So like the MRI and different things coming up, Lord, we pray for that. We pray for good results. We pray that she is in that high percentage of people that fully recover, and we just like to ask for you to lay your hands on her and remove all the fear, and to just help her through this season that she's going through. We thank you for Joel also for being such a great
Mm-hmm.
husband and so supportive. That's just wonderful. You've been such a faithful God to us, and I pray for everybody listening, Lord, that you would place your hand on their shoulders, um, and just help us all through this season of life, Lord. And it's because of you that we do this, and so we praise your name, we honor you, and thank you. It's in Jesus' name, Amen.
Amen. You guys know, I'll say it for one more time in 2023. Well, 2024 when you listen, but if you liked this podcast, give it a little bing, 5 stars.
Had to do a special one for the year end.
Nice. On Apple Podcast, Spotify. Make sure that you are subscribed so you never miss an episode.
And then we won't
Um,
have to recap them.
yeah. But we just did like cliff notes today. It was like
Yes,
major
yes.
cliff notes, but hopefully it inspired you to want to go back and listen to some of them you have not
What is
heard.
the AI for this one going to be
I
like?
don't know. That'll be real interesting. I don't
Yes,
know.
Mark and
Yeah.
Michelle discuss AI and how
Yeah.
awesome it is.
Yeah. So, anyways, like we said before, if you'd like to be a guest, there is a form you can fill out in the show notes. We would love to hear from you. It's just so good to get other people's stories. So, and all the other
Yes.
stuff, join our widow community, Widow Too Soon on Facebook. We're on Instagram, all the places. We have the biggest presence on Facebook. So that'd be the place you really want to find us. And I think that's it. I always like to say this too. You know, we are part of the nonprofit Widow Goals. And if you've been touched by this episode and you want to give back, there is a link for a tax-free giving. I think that's it now.
Donate
And
to an awesome ministry. It really
donate,
helps people
yes.
out.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been amazing to be part of. And happy new year. When you hear this, it's going to be 24. Crazy, crazy, crazy,
We're going to
crazy.
party like it's 1999.
1999, right? It's crazy. Like I literally remember that year. And
I
I had the
know.
glasses. I have pictures of this, say 2000. We didn't know Y2K, like everything's going to crash. I mean, I
No
was
bottled
like
water available in the
5
stores.
because I'm 29. I was like 5.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but I remember that, and it's crazy, just crazy how time flies. And here
Yep,
we are
just keeps on going.
in 24. I mean, I just think it's crazy too, just because both of our spouses died in 2020. Like now it's about to be 2024. Like, how did that happen?
Yep.
Like, that's whoa. Yeah. Anyways, we've rambled on for quite a long time, so we will let you go. And we will talk to you next time. Have a great day.
God bless you. Thank you.